Hey there, everyone. A bit of a wild day in the markets, but I'll tell you what, we still found places to cash in. You guys can come on over and join the party. I caught Bitcoin at its high, cashing in on one of the ETF plays that I have that. I bet I'll show you that one. And then also on top of that, cashing in on the downside of things with a Disney put. Thank you, StockMo. Once again, I'll show you that as well. And then I'll also give commentary, give you some updates on the charts as we see them, where we could potentially go, and how I'm going to position myself in the markets that we have. So I'll give an update on some of the indices out there, such as the NASDAQ 100, S&P 500, Russell 2000, which we did an important gap fill today. Wait until you see that one. And then I'll also show some stocks out there. And also we're going to do some crypto coverage as well, including Ethereum. I still think is one of the more intriguing plays that we have out there right now. So I'm going to include that one in my analysis today. So without further ado, let's go over to the Tradewinds channel. You guys can join us over at the Discord. 50% off your first month using code word doctor. Check out the Tradewinds channel. Dejan coming in for IonQ's 2x leverage ETF. 16% win on that one. And then Dog Primo thanking 808 Tensei, which is one of the panel experts like myself over there, for their big win for the Google movement that we saw. Very bullish on that. Maricall, Anthony Dickey coming in with about a 10% gainer on that one, 20% gain. And then moving on to more Google profits. Moving on from there, Disney put, that one StockMo call. I joined in on that one, as I had mentioned before. And there's 808 Tensei being named again by Nate M on this one, 63% profit on that one. Here's a Google swing by 808 Tensei themselves, hit 1K profit on that one. And it just keeps on rolling. There's 29% for myself on the IBIT play that I had, cashing in on that one. And if we keep on moving down there, there's Money Mitch coming in, showing up again in here. Looks like 48% on that one. And if we keep on moving in here, NVDA calls locked in profit before it sold off. And you guys get the idea. I could keep on scrolling through here. I was kind of wanted to show you the Disney one. But man, there's a lot going on over here. There you go. They're 52% on the Disney put intraday play that I had trading with my boy StockMo, who called that out. So thank you, StockMo. That was incredible. So you guys get the idea of what's there waiting for you over at the Discord. I share my analyses over there. So do the other panel experts. Let's get into the charts on this one. QQQ. Check this out. I said most likely would have some sort of sell-off soon. We had to sit on top of 521.17. We just couldn't do it. We couldn't get there. Bond market news comes out today. Bad news for us. Market sells down to the 513 level that I have on here. And what did I do as a result of that? Well, not a whole lot initially anyway. I had a volatility play that I ended up closing out, taking a $3 loss on that one. I needed that volatility to happen yesterday or the day before. Would have been great. We just kind of chopped sideways for a while on that one, and I didn't want to take the overnight risk on that one. It is possible that if we kept going, if we kept selling, that, well, that could have really paid out handsomely, but it also would have lost that time value over time, especially if we stay in between these. I would have lost even more money. So I closed that one out. Like I said, $3 lost on that one. And I guess these things are bound to happen sometimes. So what I'm looking for on this, what I'm looking for is if we could trade down below 513, which we did close below it. We closed at 513.04 and 513.15 is where the 38.2 is. We still have this gap to fill. This is the gap that I'm looking for down to the 200 day, which happens to be at about 492. I don't know that we get there. I don't know that we make it all the way down that far. We have the 20 SMA coming up the screen right now. Let me collapse that so we can really focus on it. There we go. Go back to the chart. There we are. So the 20 SMA is this blue line coming up across your screen. I'll take down the technical so you can really see the orange 200 day. We haven't tried it as support yet. So I'm really hoping, really got my fingers crossed that we make it down that far. I want to do some put options to get down there and really profit off of that, find that support and ride the wave back up on this one. I don't know that we get that. We had a lot of mix in here, a lot of selling pressure, and I said that goes along with the chop that we had over here. So I didn't do anything today because I want to see how the market opens tomorrow. What I'd rather do is, let me see if we can draw this on here for you. And I actually got a new drawing tablet here. The thing is that I haven't quite mastered it yet. Like I can use it, but it's honestly still works better for me to use my mouse in my non-dominant hand, which is my right hand because I'm left-handed. But until that time, once I get that mastered, I'll break that out for you and we'll have a little bit better of a time. In any case, here's what I'm looking for. That we take this here paintbrush tool and that we do this. That's what I'd rather trade off of. If we're going to go to the downside on this one, I would much rather see that downside happen and trade off of resistance. So watching for that 513 for us to hit our heads and trade down lower. I think that maybe some put options in order for that, just as a hedge against my longer term positions. I was actually net longs today. Just before the sell happened, I was like, I should probably put out some kind of short position to kind of pad the other way just a little bit. And then probably about 10 or 15 minutes later, there it went. Now, mind you, might be a little bit painful because that would have been a really nice intraday play. Not as painful as this big old pickle that was over here, that 5-ish minutes before this explosion happened, going back to April the 9th, when we had a 12% day. I was ready to go triple leverage calls on that. Just be like, because I was like, I think that we're near a bottom here, and I'm in net short positions. I really needed position dig back in, and I thought that calls were appropriate. And about 5 minutes before before that happened, I was having that thought, and I was getting ready to set up. I was looking around. I got caught up in a day trade that actually worked out pretty well for me, but not nearly as well as that one would have. So let's move on from there onto the Qs, because I'm looking for pretty much the same thing for the SPY. I can put the technicals up here. Only for this one, 582 is that we actually sold down below 588. I said holding 588, and look what happened. And with 588, we opened, we couldn't keep it, and man, it closed down to 582 on this one. I'm looking for that same gap fill down to the 200-day, which for SPY happens to be right about 572. IWM, we actually got the gap fill. You guys can see that on here. Gap filled, took us right down exactly where we needed to go. Doesn't mean that it won't sell lower. We do have the 20 and the 50-day simple moving averages here to watch out for. NVIDIA, I said NVIDIA pops if the market pops. NVIDIA sells if the market sells. And there's the sell that you got right along with everything else. You could see that broadening pattern that we had there. Oftentimes that can sell off. But before we had that, before that big sell, we were actually looking in good shape to continue in a bullish direction. We might still have it. It's not necessarily over yet, but it is in the hands of the market what we do leading up to those earnings that we get on Wednesday in the after hours for NVIDIA on the 28th of May. Going over to Tesla, this is one that I'm very highly interested in. Now, mind you, this one slipped me. I was looking for it below 336. So far, we got that. It is tied with this off hours, after hours low that we had over here on Monday, May the 19th. Actually, I guess, let me see where that was. Monday. There you go. Friday into Monday is when we had that one. It must have been when the pre-market opened on Monday that we got that one. We could potentially push lower from there. I was watching for it to cross below 336. We might see that 317 to 314. We do have this broadening pattern to pay attention to. You can see it on your screen right here. We could end up finding support right around 328. Let me see how wide the day is, 327, 328. Along the way, if we break down below that, watch for 317 to 314. We might hit our heads on 336. If we do, that could be an entry for myself maybe tomorrow. Disney. Check this out. This is, again, called out by StockMo. Took advantage of this today. I went bird in hand with that profit that I took on that. I think what I show you, maybe 52 or 53%. I'd have to go back and look again. It was a nice move that we got on that one. In sympathy with the rest of the market, we do have a gap to fill on here, taking us all the way down to 106. So I might actually re-enter a position, especially after I take a further look on Disney, but I don't want to get overly bearish. And I think that there might be some potentially better plays to do out there. But I liked it enough to get into the first place that we might still see that. I might jump back in. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Bitcoin, new all-time high. As a matter of fact, I need to move this now because I put this up here when I first noticed that it hit 109.5 exactly, but we actually peaked out at 109.874. New all-time high on that one. That happened minutes, like 3 minutes before the market started selling. I believe that was at like 12:47, and then by 12:50, is when we had the market dump, or maybe it was like 12:49, and then by 12:52, the market dump. But it was somewhere around that 1 o'clock hour, just before 1 o'clock, that we had that peak, and then the market sell following. Bitcoin still ending up pretty resilient today, and so that I find inspiring. So going over here, let's stop by ETH real quick. I'll show you what I got going on there. For Ethereum, looking at the daily chart here, for Ethereum, lots of indecision, lots of volatility here. When you see these long wicks and these narrow bodies like this, we're looking for that first solid candle that ends up being up for bullishness or down for bearishness. Market bias will still impact crypto, but maybe not necessarily as strongly as what we've seen in the past. That decoupling that you will, if you will, for what we've seen from the S&P to Bitcoin might still be in effect here. And we'll see if the momentum can hold out for crypto if we keep pushing to the upside on this one. We'll watch and see. Now, mind you, I also have something Something big I want to share with you towards the end of this video when I go to wrap things up and summarize about the bond market situation that we find ourselves in. And I'll give a little bit more color and context to that as well. So let me put this back up here for Ethereum, because I do also want to go to XRP. And it might be easiest if I just click here on crypto and then click on that's AVAX. There we go, XRP, because what we got for XRP, let me reset the view, is that right now we're currently right at about that support level for 236. Not so bad, still up above the 20, the 50, the 200. We want to see the 50 cross back up above the 200. If we put up the EMAs and take down the simple moving averages, we have that mix between the 5 and the 13. They just can't decide. We need to get that price action back up above. Selling pressure comes in around 265. And you guys have been waiting for this one. Sweet! I know you have. Finding resistance once again right at around that 409 level. So the high price 407 is when it came out to be. You guys can sort of see that on the middle of your screen here. That resistance goes all the way up to 419. Need to get a candle on top of it. If we do, there's that 497 number. So crypto not necessarily down and out. The market not necessarily down and out. But I do want to be cautious here. I don't want to be overly bearish. If you guys want to see my analyses, my technicals, my buys and sells, along with the other panel experts that are over there, you guys can see the sort of things that we put out, the sort of wins that people experience with the trades that we put out there. We're trying to help everyone move towards financial freedom and building alpha in their portfolios every way that we know how. Use the code word doctor with that link in the description. Matter of fact, either of the two links in the description, whether you're signing up for the Discord because you want to be part of the community with thousands of members in it already and a whole bunch of panel experts there ready to help you out, talking about the different things that we see throughout the markets and supporting you, whether the market's moving up or down. We're there for you each and every trading day. And some people even over the weekends, especially where crypto is involved, since crypto never sleeps. If you guys want to get some coursework for options, learning about options, how to trade options, there's that coursework through Stockmo Academy. Stockmo being a personal friend of mine, it's like a brother to me. Also, there's a link in the description. Well, through that Stockmo Academy link, you'll also get a technical analysis trading course and learn about the bread recipe trading strategy that we personally use in that coursework as well. Code word doctor is going to work with that. And if you bundle those courses, it saves you a ton more. So guys, now I'll get back to that. Maybe at the end, I'll just remind you real quick, but I do want to say with this whole bond market thing, we're only going to get to see the yields go so high before that buying comes in of those bonds that really starts to push them back down. I think some of that pressure is going to come either from the Federal Reserve or the federal government themselves coming in, stepping in, and making sure that things don't get out of hand, because we're already sort of in a debt crisis, and we don't want to see that exacerbated and taken to even further, more unsustainable levels in light of that credit downgrade that we've gotten. We definitely don't want to see the interest payments move beyond what they have. I believe that they exceeded $1 trillion a year, and it's really making it difficult to deal with the national debt that we have. And, well, we just need to take care of that government spending deficit over time. And as you've seen so far with Doge and otherwise, it's not necessarily an easy task. You have a whole lot of people who believe that everything that they do is important, everything that they spend on is a worthy cause. And I'm not here to answer that question, but I am here to say that it's going to be difficult to reduce that in a really meaningful way in a short amount of time. And this could continue for a little while for us. And so if those yields spike up even more, I think that some action is going to be taken in order to buy those back down, that we could see some sort of shifting in the monetary policy or easing the monetary policy in order to make money a little bit easier to access and be able to buy those down a little bit, because those rates start to become attractive after a while. So we'll see what we get. Guys, join us over at the Discord. You can talk to us more over there. Like I said, throughout the trading day, over the weekend, there's crypto, stocks, bonds, just general market stuff, finance stuff, you name it, how to trade, what to use to trade, all that kind of stuff. It's there. It's waiting for you. The two links down in the description are going to be your best place to find that. Code word doctor for both of them. It's going to work either way. 50% off your first month if you sign up for Discord access using the earner tier, which gets you unrestricted access to everything. And then through Stockmo Academy, big old discount on those courses using code word doctor. Once again, DOCTOR, massive discount also for bundling those two courses. Guys, thanks for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. We'll see you next video.